Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for October 16th. October 16th is the 289th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 290th in leap years, with 76 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is acrophonic. Acrophonic is an adjective that uses itself to describe itself. It means having to do with acrophony, or instituted or used on the basis of acrophony. So let's dig a little deeper. First, let's take this word apart. We'll start with the last part, phony. And of course, there are other uses for the word phony as a whole word unto itself, but in this instance, we're looking at it as a word part, phony, which has to do with sound, as in cacophony, which I believe we have talked about before. So, phony relating to sound. The first part of this word, acro, is a word that refers to extremities like a beginning, an end, a tip, the top, a peak or summit, or an extremity of the body. In this case, it refers to the beginning, and when you combine the two word parts into a word, you get acrophonic, which could be loosely translated as first sound, or relating to the first sound. Acrophony is defined as the naming of letters of an alphabetic writing system so that the letter's name begins with the letter itself. For example, the Greek name for the letter A is alpha. It begins with the letter A. Likewise, the Greek name for the letter B, beta, and so it goes on through the entire alphabet. The designations Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and so on, as given in the NATO phonetic alphabet, also known as the International Radiotelephony Spelling Alphabet, or simply Radiotelephony Spelling Alphabet, is commonly used to avoid confusion when communicating letters of the alphabet. Was that a T or a D? A B or a V? Easy to get mixed up, but easier to keep straight if it's a Tango or a Delta or a Bravo or a Victor. When I was a kiddo, we used to make up and communicate in code, and I think this would be a fun code for youngsters to learn. We're talking about the word acrophonic, which has to do with the beginning sound, especially as it relates to an alphabetic system where the letter's name begins with itself. First known use of the word acrophonic is in the 1840s. Acrophonic. Today's word acrophonic was suggested by YouTube viewer at T. Ramsire. Thanks, Teresa. That one was fun. And with that, let's start with the birthday of Noah Webster, born October 16, 1758. If that name seems familiar, you might have heard of Webster's dictionary. Indeed, he was an English language spelling reformer. In addition to the dictionary, he wrote a book called The Blue-Backed Speller, from which generations of children have learned to spell. Noah Webster lived to the age of 84. I imagine Marie Antoinette loved being the Queen of France. She spent extravagantly and encouraged her husband, Louis XVI, to resist reform to the monarchy. I think she liked being the boss, wanted to keep being the boss. When informed that the peasantry were outraged because they didn't have any bread to eat, she is reported to have said, "Let them eat cake." Now, we've talked recently about the angry housewives and the bread riots, and given how that went, I don't think she really invited them in to eat cake, but it is a popular tale. Anyway, the populace were so displeased with the way things were that the monarchy was successfully abolished. In 1792, Louis XVI was executed in January of 1793. Marie Antoinette went on trial on October 14, 1793, and on this day, October 16, 1793, she was executed by guillotine. A famous American archaeological find, the Cardiff Giant, was discovered on October 16, 1869. Presented as a petrified man, the figure is 10 feet, 4.5 inches tall, and weighs nearly 1.5 tons. Turns out it was a hoax carved of limestone. You can actually still see the sedimentary layering in the stone. The fellow who engineered this hoax went to elaborate and expensive measures to pull it off, but it made him back all that money and more. The original Cardiff giant figure currently resides at the Farmers Museum in Cooperstown, New York. There have been replicas made of the Cardiff giant, and these replicas are on display in such venues as Marvin's Marvelous Mechanical Museum in Farmington Hills, Michigan, and the Fort Museum and Frontier Village in Fort Dodge, Iowa, and has also inspired a number of similar hoaxes. Now back to the Farmers Museum in Cooperstown. You might recognize the name of Cooperstown as being the home of the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum, and that's a lot of fun to visit. If you ever get up that way, you want to give yourself at least half a day to go through the museum, and then be sure to give yourself an extra day to go over to the Farmers Museum and see that Cardiff giant. And be sure to ride the merry-go-round while you're there too. And don't forget to check out those museum gift shops. The Chinese Communists began what is known as the Long March on October 16, 1934. This is the birthday of Suzanne Summers, born October 16, 1946. She did an amazing job of playing a dumb blonde on the TV show Three's Company back in the 1970s. She'd battled cancer over the years, and Suzanne Summers had passed away one day before she will have turned 77. May she rest in peace, Suzanne Summers. China detonated its first nuclear weapon on October 16, 1964. This is the birthday of singer-songwriter John Mayer, born October 16, 1977. When I came across his name in the research, right away I could hear his first album playing in my mind, Room for Squares. I came across a video of John Mayer playing backup for Leon Russell at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony for Leon Russell. How dear. John Mayer's dad was a high school principal, his mother was an English teacher, and he's a middle child. Fun fact, John Mayer loves and collects watches. He's had some physical health scares over the years, a heart issue as a teenager, ongoing anxiety issues, and vocal cord issues in 2011 and 2012. He still tours regularly, and you can check out his website for more information about that. In honor of John Mayer's birthday, today's song is No Such Thing. Co-written by John Mayer and Clay Cook and performed by John Mayer, No Such Thing was his debut single, the lead single from his first studio album, Room for Squares. Released in February of 2002, my introduction to this song and its album was that my daughter would play it as she got ready for work. Admittedly autobiographical, he asked permission to film the music video for this song at his high school alma mater, but they declined because the school administration felt that the lyrics were disparaging to the school. No Such Thing got to number 13 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 1 on Billboard's U.S. Adult Alternative Songs list. No Such Thing by John Mayer, link in the description. Alrighty, I think we're rolling. The designations Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and so on, as given in the NATO Phonetic Album. Okay, there's an outtake. Today's word, what a time I've had with this word. For lungsters to yearn. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with a link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That description lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include a link to my blog page called No Really. You can also find me on Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. All those links in that description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Alrighty, back to work. I think we got it this time.